Hi folks, welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to be tying with some olive saddle hackle and some olive bucktail, as well as some olive and black rubber skirting. So stick around. Let's get to tying. All right. I'm just doing the usual here. Got a 1/4 ounce ball head in the vise, and I'm just laying down some olive flat wax 210. And so the idea today is that the saddle hackle will be a bit of a tail, and then the bucktail be the body and also part of the tail, sort of, I guess, too. And then the rubber skirting, that'll be around for the collar. And what I'm hoping to do, and we'll see if it works out or not. I've done it before with rubber skirting, but I'm hoping to dubbing loop in the rubber skirting rather than just tie it in. Or I certainly don't need all of this, so I don't want to, put it up. I don't want to put the whole thing on as you would like a rubber skirt kind of a thing. So I'll try to dubbing loop it in. And see how that goes. If not, maybe I'll just have to direct tie it in. But yeah, that's sort of the gist of what we're doing here today. Yeah, so we're just going to start very, very typical here, just tying in 2 saddle hackle feathers on each side, laid on top of each other. We're going to go about there. I think so, almost about, I'm going probably about twice the length of the jig itself, or thereabouts at least. And trying to do that, so this guy got twisted a little bit. Yeah, there we go. Trying to do that with the curved, with the feathers curving in. And then we'll just give those a little snip, making sure these are nicely in here. Yeah, then we're just going to start cutting some bucktail off of here. And I'm just going to get that measured up. Give that a bit more of a snip. About like that is good, I think. And then we're just going to advance my thread all the way to the base of the ball head here. And give that a loose wrap at first, and then a little bit of a tighter one. And then I'm just going to press down on that. Just try and give it some coverage. And then I'll do the same. I'll flip it around and then do the same on the bottom side. And again, just trying to make sure that my collar doesn't slip too far down here. Trying to keep that nice and neat. But with the rubber skirting over top of it, it's not so much of an issue, I suppose. And now we just got the jig flipped upside down here, and we're going to just fill in some of this underside, or I guess what'll be the top of the jig when it's swinging in the water, at least. Give that a bit more of a trim. That should be somewhat good. Just going to make sure that the hair is splitting the hook sufficiently and getting coverage here. give that a few more decently strong wraps, and then we're going to flip that back over. Okay. All right, now what I'm going to do is just, so the next step, I think that's actually enough bucktail. I don't think I'm really going to add much more than that. Don't really need it. I'm just going to take this little knife and try to trim up some of these hairs here that are sticking out. I don't need to do it a great job, just a little bit, because I'm sure once we have that rubber skirting in there, that'll probably cover some of them up anyway. But just to clean it up a little bit. Okay, so I got her trimmed up more or less decently. You'll be able to see here when I was going around with that knife, scraped off some of the paint from my jig head. No big deal. The fish won't care. I don't really care. I'm using it for myself. I'm not something I'm selling anyway, so not a big deal. But yeah, just be careful of that if you're going around with a razor blade or whatever, to not chip the paint on your jig head. So now I'm gonna snip a few pieces of this rubber skirting off, put that in dubbing loop that around, and then that'll be our collar, and then the jig will be finished. All right, so I'm just gonna make my dubbing loop here. So I'm just gonna get a bit of thread out, put my fingers in there, make the loop, come back on my thread there. Then I'm just gonna, twist this around a little bit. Get that locked in there good. And then I am going to take my spinner, my dubbing loop tool, and put that in there. And now the tricky part, as usual, is inserting the material and making sure that it actually stays in the loop, especially with this silicone skirting pieces. It can be tricky. So you just want to make sure that you try to keep your loop as tight as possible. And already a bunch of pieces are falling out, but that is okay. Oh, they stayed in there pretty good. And then if I feel these are too long, I can always trim them after I've dubbing looped them in. A little bit more. Yeah, this is working better than anticipated. And we'll do a little bit more, and maybe that should be enough, I think. And we'll just advance those up as high as you can go. Yeah, and now we'll just give it a spin until those are all twisted up in there. And hopefully it'll turn out good, as the whole table is rocking while I'm spinning. Just want to make sure they're really good in there and they're not going to come out. Pardon for the shaking here. All right, that should be plenty. All right. All right, so now we're just going to wrap these in. And trying to make sure here that I got decent coverage. But yeah, we'll leave that like that, I think. we won't add. I was going to add some more, but we don't want to mess with it. That's fine the way that is. And then I'm just going to tie it off here. And try not to get any of the pieces caught up in my thread, which is probably happening. There we go. All right, and I'll give that a snip. And I'll finish this with just a few more wraps. Make sure we're all good here. And we'll give that a whip finish, and then we'll be done. And I'm going to throw that in the test tank, and you'll see what it looks like. Okay, so before we put it in the test tank, one thing maybe I'll mention is, I mean, I'm sure most of you know this already, but if you ever do get your ball head chipped up like that, just a simple little bit of black Sharpie will fix that thing right up. All right, let's put her in the test tank. All right, so we're gonna get her in the tank here. And immediately I can say I love the way the silicone skirting that's dubbing looped in there just flares out. The saddle hackle tail there gives some nice kick when just popping it like this. And of course the bucktail just kind of gives some nice flair and kind of helps with that formation of the body. So as a bottom rig, I can see already this is going to be pretty nice, just hopping it along like that, and those saddle hackle tails stay up like that, and the silicone skirting just kind of does its thing. Swimming this, you know, if you give it a pop, a couple little dances like that while you swim it, I think that could work too. But yeah, this is definitely going to be a smallmouth killer. Going to make more of these for sure. Thanks for watching, everybody. I appreciate the new subs. I appreciate the watch. We'll catch you next time. Take care.